So I guess I'm one of those people who always, likes to not think of himself as racist because of his background, who likes to think of himself as a champion for equality. But with everything that's going on at the minute, I'm starting to think, am I a closet racist? Am I part of some systemic racism in the UK that's happening? And the whole environment that, to be a white man, to even say anything, makes you part of the problem. So I'm just setting the scene there, Joel. No pressure for you, but I think how I'm feeling is the way things have opened up. And now I'll ask you my questions. Is that okay? How much of what's going on at the minute, Joel, is because of a necessary examination of racism, and how much is because of the hothouse and climate of the lockdown from COVID? Does that question make sense, Joel?
It does. So it's been said in just about every media platform over the past 4 weeks that the COVID experience has contributed to our consciousness of race and difference in a way which has never happened before. We've never all been at the same time compelled to sit and reflect and have time to truly ingest an injustice which has happened before our eyes in broad daylight. It's just never had time like that before. And one suspects that if this had happened in the middle of normality, if you like, there would have been outrage, but nowhere near the same degree. So I think what it's done is given us a moment of deep opportunities for catharsis, for healing, for mutual development, and that's okay. And I don't want a white person who I work with or worship with to see me as black every moment of every day, of every encounter, to approach me with an active consciousness that I am black. Because then what you have done is to I don't know, cover over my humanity and my made in God's imageness with a color scheme, or with my culture. You will have promoted my culture and my blackness above my humanity. I don't want anybody to do that to me. I don't want anyone to do that to me. So there's no crime in having significant moments of culture and cultural indifference, because we're in the same space, getting on as two human beings together. That's fine. If I'm playing double tennis with you, if I'm playing doubles in tennis with you, I don't want you as my partner to be thinking he's black, he's black, he's black. I want us to be two good players together. That's that's what I want us to be. But in those instances where difference occurs, and it becomes evident that something is going on here, that's the point at which I don't want you to disregard my differentness, my blackness, the contribution I have to make, the perspective I have on this issue, which is different from yours. And that's the point at which I don't want you to say subliminally, you're black, I'm white, I'm right, you're wrong. That's when it gets to me. That's when it gets to be a problem. But so it needs to be there as a part of our cultural and psychological and humanity, as we discourse, as we learn together, as we try and forge a better world together and get rid of injustice and deal with the sin of racism. It has to be a part of the scope of dialogue, and home improvements, if you like, but it mustn't be an obstacle. And so I don't think it helps for white folk and white brothers and sisters to feel bad because they didn't think about a black person being black, as opposed to being a sort of kind of a neutral human being. And it's only happened to me once or twice in my entire life. A very good friend who I worked with very closely in the evangelical lines, we were talking about racial differences on one occasion. And this very, very wonderful gentleman said, I don't think of Joel as black. Joel, you don't think of yourself as black, do you? And I said, of course I do. Of course I do. He was absolutely shocked that I would think of myself as black,
Right.
simply because I didn't walk around the room all the time talking patois and telling black jokes, you know.
Yeah.
And because I've learned the language, and because I operate within the context of the Evangelical Alliance as someone who brings blackness to it, but understands that culture and works comfortably within it and doesn't behave like a kind of cultural anachronism within that setting. So the fact that I'm at home in a white majority culture and I can communicate and dialogue or even provide leadership outside my own minority status doesn't disabuse me of my color. And I think we run into problems only at that point,
Right.
where my blackness becomes irrelevant to discourse or to progress or to conflict.